Good morning. Welcome to Living Therapy. This is Frank D'Amato. This is going to be a vlog entry of how I'm feeling right now. It's the second day of the IFS Conference, and it's the morning. And I had some parts coming up about, in the mornings, I have a session with a very, very close and important client in my life. Hi. um, and it was just I woke up feeling I had some anxious parts about having the session and getting down to the plenary in time, and I was worried about I had a part that was worried about going there late and being disruptive, and I know my parts will be hungry and like having to wanting to do all the things, and so I was a little anxious going into the session, but being there and being with the client, and we were able to kind of, I can just speak for that part that was there, and we made a lot of space for her parts and my parts, and then we just had an incredible, lovely session, and now, and then my parts are like, oh, I'm not in a rush at all, and it's kind of okay. So I'm feeling a lot more spacious, and then my parts are like, oh, am I going to make a little recording this morning or not, or am I going to, go down to the plenary? And there's this clarity inside me, like, this is important to me. The plenary is important, and I'm going to hear important things, but right now, this work of creating this YouTube channel is really important, and part of what came clear in the session for me is, and just getting some of this self-energy space, I'm starting to see this channel develop as a work of art for me. I am a former artist. I went to grad school. I have an MFA in creative writing, and for years I tried to create a memoir, trying to recreate what was happening in my life, what had happened in my life, what had happened that shaped me. And I wrote hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of beautiful and often not so beautiful pages that I could never create into one solid work of art that made sense. And that always felt, for that time period, it was a major, I'm going to put it in quotes, failure for that part that I invested so many years, and I could not, I had this dream that the success, what it was going to be was this book. And the book was going to make me famous, and the book was going to, prove, redeem. It was going to be the redeemer. And of course, that was just too much of an expectation on a work of art, and too much pressure, and I didn't have the clarity or insight about my trauma to make a story out of it. Part of the nature of trauma is incompletion. One of the phrases that I've been holding, that trauma is incomplete. That's all it is. And in this therapeutic internal family systems healing work and other therapeutic models, you move towards completion, and then there's no more trauma when there's completion. And I can go into more detail about that separately, but the point is that was unfinished, and there was trauma for me around that time in my life, my grad school time, and a lot of fear about going back into anything creative. And this channel has awoken that in me, and I'm beginning to see this as a new media form, and that this channel itself can be the thing I was wanting the novel or the memoir to be. A picture of my life that's very full, and in that it can incorporate lots of things. It can incorporate some of that old writing, and I already have a lot of plans for sharing some of that memoir in a fun, creative way. And I'm excited. I'm going to need to connect to some artists who can draw some things, and there's going to be some steps to move to that, but there's going to be a space to share all that. But then there's also my work, and there's space in here to share my work, and that's part of what this is. And there's also these kind of introspective sharing with you, the different, what's happening inside me, a kind of emotional processing and sharing that's happening, and insights and connections that come from this sharing that's happening right now. And it feels really good to say, wow, I don't know what it's going to look like, but it's happening. And there are parts of me that the big parts that come up that hinder the process that that I need to attend to care for are the parts that get focused on who's watching or do people care, and they look at how many views I have or how many people are subscribing, and then they get like, oh no, nobody cares. I'm going to look foolish for putting myself out here, putting my heart, my life out here, and no one's going to care. So there's that part that's covering up some core wounds underneath that. But what I'm beginning to experience is, I already am seeing how what I'm doing already is touching people, is touching my clients and my friends, and I'm getting that feedback just in these small pieces, even though there's 10 views, but each one of those views is impacting the people in my life. And that's real, and I can feel that energy. I could see that. And so I'm staying focused with that. To every single one view that's there is some thread or some connection to a very deep part of me, to someone out there. And that feels really good. And so there's that part. And then there's the part that worries about judgment. And so it's like there's this part that's like, ooh, if I tell too much, if I reveal too much of my life, someone's going to come get me. Someone's going to attack me, and I'm going to lose what I have. And so it's a very old generational trauma and I understand from part of my history, Italian American. I think a lot of my family roots, there is this sense of fearing the outside world. In fact, thanks to one of my clients for researching this, which was very lovely. But one of my family comes from this small village, Calvetto, in Italy, which is like nestled in the mountains, and it was the story that was relayed to me by the person who researched was that it made sense that they were like fearing because there were waves of invasions into Italy, and so they just moved and settled in this little mountain place way far from any city, right? To keep those others out, keep the authority. Let's just do our own little thing. And that energy has been inside me. Let's do our own little thing where it's nice and safe. And so this is scary. Like, oh, what if I tell people about this? And even, I have a part that's like, well, don't say this and don't say that and don't say this. And that can be wise because there is healthy sharing, and then there's what might be exposing. But then there's parts that I'm just taking a breath and kind of processing, because I can feel, just even as I even speak about those parts, I can feel my nervous system tensing up. So that's kind of one of the things I'm always attuned to as a practitioner and as a holistic therapist and maybe a shaman. One of the speakers yesterday was speaking about that, but I don't want to go too far off track. What I'm doing right now is just pausing and to be with that for a moment. So yeah, I'm excited about the day. I'm going to wrap this little segment up right here and just say I'm excited about the day. I get to see some new teachers that I haven't experienced, which is something I love, and so I'm going to also absorb those teachers today. And thank you for your time and your attention and connecting to this here. I really thank you. It really means so much to me. I would love to hear any thoughts or reflections or comments on the video. Please just put that in the comment box. If you haven't already subscribed, there's going to be a little box on one of these sides. I forget, it's going to be this one. and just click my picture of my face and hit subscribe if you want more of these. You want to stay connected to this evolving work of art that's happening, and also teaching and sharing. Click subscribe, and also click get notifications. So there's a little bell, and you hit the little bell, and you can find out when there's a new video. And you can hit the little like button too. That makes when you hit that little like button, there's a little hit of dopamine that happens. So if you want me to have a little hit of dopamine, you could just hit the little like button. You could hit a little feedback button, like says, "Oh, yay, keep doing what you're doing." Like, okay. Well, thanks for your time today, and I look forward to sharing more in the future. Okay.